I mean, it makes a difference to me.
All right, but okay, so no one asked for my update, but I'm gonna give this update. We were talking. I just want to throw this in. So for those who know me, I was like, oh, I'm trying to get addicted to the casino, okay, and to gambling, okay, and so I did for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. I got addicted to gambling. I'll tell you how I know I actually had an addiction. One, it's because I went over the span of 2 weeks like 6 times to a casino. So that's already I'm doing it too much. Okay. That's teller number one. Okay. The next step was um so I went the last time I went to the casino, which is gonna be my last time unless I'm on vacation somewhere that gambling is like a thing you do, so like Vegas was Saturday, this past Saturday. Okay. Nathan, ask me how much ask me how long I was there. Ask me how long I was there.
How long were you there?
I was there for about 45 minutes. Okay, so you're already probably like, oh, it probably didn't go well. No. Ask me how much money I lost in those 45 minutes.
How much money did you lose in those
So
45?
I lost $1,300 in 45. And so I was sitting there, no money in my wallet, at a slot, and I said, I have a problem. Um, and I was just sitting there with my coffee that I made from the free Brett beverage station, and I was just like, I can't do this again. I can't go. And so I have now written it off. I'm not going to casinos, at least for the near future. I'm not going. I'm not even considering. And so, all
So the,
right,
the
so
real telltale sign of whether or not you have an addiction is now that you said that, whether you go back in the next week.
well, that's I have I'm trying to get a new one to fill the void of
A new
the old one,
addiction?
and so now my addiction is I'm trying to get into energy drinks.
Can I
So
can I offer a
no,
okay?
no, yeah, you can't. What's up?
No need. I have two things. One, can I offer an alternate addiction that would be less uh dangerous?
Yeah, next week I'm getting addicted to the gym. I'm gonna get into the gym again, so we're gonna do that.
I was gonna say, well, I mean, actually, you can get addicted to the gym and it go poorly. So,
Yeah.
Sure.
What's your good one?
get addicted to a collectible trading card game.
Ooh, I'll start collecting MLB cards.
No need. You can get
Nice.
the Magic the Gathering with me.
I I got it. I will. Yep.
If anyone who watches this is also active on the Magic subreddit, I'm the
Wow.
guy who posts all the time about having 100 commander decks.
100
Yeah.
what?
It's a format of Magic called Commander. It has
Commander.
Okay.
100 cards in the deck.
Don't even know it.
I have 100 of them,
Yeah.
which means I have a display that has 10,000 Magic cards, and each set of 100 of them is minimum $100.
That's
Good heavens.
awesome.
It's not awesome, but that's what happens when you live on campus for almost 10 years.
Oh my gosh,
Dude,
Nathan.
don't get me started about how long I've lived. This is my 10th year living on a college campus.
This is my ninth. Next year will be my 10th, but I'll still be on campus because of my new job.
Yeah.
Real quick, my other thing, I'm sorry to be this guy. Did you hit record to have that story on record?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
That was no,
No, no Dallas.
that was gonna be the preamble soft entry was me talking about my gambling addiction.
Why?
Because hear me out. I don't know which one we're starting with, but I think if we're starting with salary,
I was not going to start with salary, actually.
hey, you could cut that little part. Care. I couldn't care less because hear me out. We have, to my knowledge, 30 subscribers. We have 3 viewers consistently. Until we get numbers, let's just do it, baby.
Here's the thing. As long as it's not inflammatory, I don't think I care.
I
And
mean, see.
more importantly, I already got the job I need, so
They could still decide not to.
No,
No,
why they
they've
would be
already
losing a
seen it.
great candidate. They would be losing a great candidate.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I agree with that, but also I'm just saying.
Oh, there doesn't need to be anything else. Just I'll take the compliment dry.
Okay.
Yeah, don't need rocks. Just
Whatever you say.
where are we starting with then?
Um,
Yeah,
well,
host.
we had talked about starting with not supporting supporters. What was the other one?
Salary?
No, there's another one. On call.
On call.
On call structures, which I actually have a plan for. Salary, I
Oh,
do not have a plan for.
we can
Well,
start
let's
with
do
the
one more
plan.
thing and then we can hop in, let you get a little situated. Um,
Thanks.
so welcome to wow, when you're watching this, it's not going to be closing week for us, but it's closing week for us right now, if I'm not mistaken. We're all in closing right now.
I'm
Yeah.
done.
Well,
What?
fuck you. But no, back to what I was saying.
No, whoa. How are you done with closing?
Yeah, what happened?
My college is small.
Yeah,
Ah,
but do you
Graduation
close
happened
on
on
Monday?
Sunday. We closed on Sunday. I've
on
done my room
Sunday?
checks.
That's a wild day.
What do you even do with your life for the rest of the May?
When I figure that out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay. But no, I'm currently and I signed up for this and I'm not I want to preface everything saying that I'm not like stressed. I'm just there's just a lot to do. That's just how closing is. Like I don't like I'm doing it well. I was talking with Brooks yesterday. He stopped by all of our offices to give us like free drinks for like gratitude, and I appreciate that. I tried the new Ice Pop energy drink from Caribou. It is good. But back to what I was saying. Um, so one of my coworkers had something pop up, so he's not here for closing. I hope everything's going well on his end. Um, so I'm helping. I was already helping. Yeah, I was already helping close kind of his new building, um, kind of. But I was supervising the RAs. He was doing logistical things, but now I'm doing the logistical things because he's not here. So I'm closing two buildings, which means I'm assisting with up about 800 residents checking out right now. So that's pretty cool. Um, and then I'm also helping because he's not here. I'm helping check out his RAs that he can't check out. So I'm checking out like a third of our RA staff this year. We have 100 RAs. I'm checking out about 32 of them. So that's pretty cool. I say all of this to say, wow, I I've grown as a person, both age-wise and just my skill. Not to be egotistical. This sounds egotistical.
Yeah.
Um, but
Dude,
but I
honestly, you do not have to give the not to sound egotistical. We're well past that, buddy.
I well I will stand on business that I know that I do a damn good job at most things.
Yeah.
Um, but no, so there's just a lot going on. I had to get to my office at 6:30 yesterday, in the morning, not at night. But just because there was a thing popping up, I got summer opening coming up soon. That's pretty cool. All that to say, I'm taking it pretty well. I'm doing what I need to do to keep my cup filled. I'm recording a podcast in the middle of closing just so I can have some sort of happiness. This pop cherry popsicle C4 is great. Hope they would sponsor us. That's to you, C4, the company.
I mean, you
Um,
also did a product placement for Caribou Coffee.
oh, I would love, dude. I love Caribou because you know what they do there? They care about you.
Wow.
That's like their thing, though.
Okay. I was gonna say, I don't know if that's their thing or if you're trying to like really sell it to them.
No, it's literally on their cups. Like we care about you or something like that.
Okay.
So I again, I was only filling space. Are we ready to go?
I'm ready as long as you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yep.
we can hear you.
Great.
Welcome
Welcome
back to
back to
the
the UMR In Summary podcast. I'm your boy, Dallas, he, him, NDSU. I've been here for a while, and with me I have.
Jessie B, she, her, Cornell College.
And Nathan,
Um,
oh,
I don't
oh,
remember how long I've been here.
me forever. Nathan, Dozier, Voorhees, taking little sippies so then Jessica can go second.
What?
I was sipping my drink, so then
Oh,
you already knew that you had to go second. There was no way
I
around it.
appreciate that.
Helped with the smoothness of the intro.
It did, it went very smoothly.
Yeah, no, best intro we've had.
Honestly. Yeah, and now we're talking about it, which I feel like makes it awkward.
More smooth.
Mm.
Yeah, see, a carpenter has done good work because he talks about how good his work is.
And you know I'm a good hall director because of how much I talk about it.
Exactly.
Yep, you're
Or
right.
yeah.
Was that a subtweet there?
A what?
I
Were you
don't,
subtweeting me there, Nathan?
what are you talking about right now?
Does no one know that phrase? I'm the oldest. Am I aging myself?
Yes.
Fuck!
You're in your 30s,
I was gonna
remember?
say,
Fuck!
what's a tweet? Does he mean sub X?
I have no idea.
Let's just get started.
Okay. You want to describe the on-call structures you've experienced?
Sure. So our on-call, let me just, I'm gonna pull our on-call schedule off my wall. So basically, our on-call schedule is we have for every single week, it's split in half by Monday through Thursday, and then Thursday through Sunday. And there's a community director who is on call, and then there's a central staff member who's on call
Okay.
with them. We pick half weeks to be
Mhm.
on call, weekends and weekdays. And basically, we just have a hierarchy where each person can call up, and we have enough people to switch every single, basically half week, and gives everyone so many weeks. I guess I don't know. Like, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, yeah. So that's basically it. Like, it's not like fancy. It's just kind of everyone picks the weeks that they can. We split it up evenly between everyone, so then it's, I guess, fair. Although we do give our grads less time than our professional staff, or full-time professional staff, really, just because they're part-time. So it doesn't make as much sense to have them work the full on-call.
Right, right.
Yeah. We
When you
all
mean
have something
like
different.
don't work full on call, what do you mean by that?
No, they don't work full-time, I meant. People
Okay.
who work full-time work more on-call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty sure our justification for on-call is that it pays for your housing, and we all have the same housing.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
not I'm not reading into that.
Okay.
who, okay, so does everyone in the structure respond in person?
No.
Okay.
Um the the first oh I guess I didn't say we also have CAs on call, but of course we do.
Yeah.
So our CAs, RAs for the generic term, our RAs are the first line. They're the ones who would see a situation, they would call up if needed.
Mhm.
Our second line, which is our professional staff, would call would be called, I guess, if they're needed, and then they would only show up for situations where they have to. Like if they have to call maintenance, they should probably lay eyes on it to make sure it's not something they could fix themselves. If they have to call up, they need to know as much like information as possible before doing so. What's up?
Um, when you say central staff, do you mean like a director or do you
The
mean
two
like a
assistant directors and the director.
okay, okay,
Yeah, so for central staff, which is me, the other assistant director, and our director, we're the only three in the rotation of the next on call.
okay.
So that one, I'm actually on call more now than I was when I was, I guess, pro staff. Pro
Like
staff is
all
the same word. A
like
CD, that's the word I'm looking for. Jeez. Um, but yeah, so community directors would show up if there's a situation that warrants them going there, or they just need more information, or need to see something with their own eyes to see severity. Like if there's a leak and someone says it's a constant leak, and it's because it drips every 30 seconds, that's a little bit of a different kind of leak.
Mhm.
So stuff like that. The only time I would show up for an on-call situation is if there was a fire, there was a death, or man, I don't re like a building structurally damaged, I guess would probably be another one too. But
Yeah, fair.
like I feel like that kind of on-call situation has more to do with like acts of God, I think is how it's worded.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I have to show up to things like that, I'm usually calling up anyway if I have to show up.
And who do you call up to?
My director, and then he or actually no, I don't. I mean, I can call up to him, but usually I call up to his boss, the assistant vice president. So then he's just aware of a situation. I also have to call him if a student gets arrested or transported. So yeah, that's kind of our on-call structure in a like snakes and ladders
Yeah.
kind of structure. Yeah,
And you've only been at Fort Hayes, right? So that's the only one
yep,
you've ever experienced?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Dallas, how about you?
Yeah, I could talk about both of my experiences as a grad student and a professional, different institutions. I was a grad student at the University of South Dakota. Grad students were in the rotation just like professional staff when it came to our on-call structure a week at a time. You'd hold the phone. Um, as Nathan said, yes, there's always going to be RAs on call. That's a gimme. I feel like for any institution, there's going to be some sort of student staff available for low-level eyes-on situations. So RAs would get in contact with whoever I'm talking about. Again, I'm still talking about grad school. Would get in contact with who's ever the professional or grad that's on call. In any given rotation, I can't remember the number of folks that we had on the team, for being honest. I think it was a total of like 8 or 9 of us at University of South Dakota. It's probably different now. I'm removed 4 years plus. So I don't know if they do it differently. My apologies if I'm misspeaking for you, USD. But at least my time there. Um, Whenever we would schedule out, I just remember similar to what Nathan was saying, I think. Full-time professionals in like the box of like the time, like however many weeks we were scheduling out in advance for, scheduling for on call. Full-time would take 3 weeks, and then grad would only take two. So like we would do one less week than full-timers. But still would have the same when we were on call, we were still like the ones that were like if after hours something popped up and they needed on call like in person, like the grad was the one still that we weren't calling up to like a hall director like a full timer being like, hey, come with me here. Like we were the ones doing stuff. um Similarly, um calling up if I needed to in that institution, calling up, we would either call our director or assistant director. They would alternate weeks of who was like the person to call, or months. They had their own way of scheduling, how they would, but it was those two would flip on and off, of who we would call if we needed assistance or some sort of guidance. And I don't know past that. I just don't. I'm assuming they had people they could call too, but I don't think we ever got to that point. Here, and it was, and I don't remember, and it was a week. It was always a week. It was Monday to Monday. It was a week. I think it was Monday. I don't remember actually. It was a week long. Um, Here at NDSU, I've gone through, or will have gone through a few different structures. We actually just switched to a Monday at 9 a.m. to Friday at 9 a.m. and then a Friday at 9 a.m. to Monday at 9 a.m. So like a week and a weekend. But for my time here, my 4 years prior, it was always a week. The day depended on what year it was for me. When I got here, we started Tuesday to Tuesday because that was just when our hall director meeting was. So you would transfer the phone at the hall director meeting. And then we switched Monday to Monday because if you have a tough, if the idea being if you had a tough weekend, it's nice to not have to have another day being on call. You can just hand the phone off and get the hell out of there, kind of thing. And then eventually, it's we open that conversation of, well, what a whole week long for anyone is it's a long time to be on call. So we split it to a week and a weekend, but you can still, as we schedule, um, if you want, you can still do a full week in a row. Like that's what I did when I scheduled my next week. Was I because I'd rather do a week than have a week and then somewhere down the line have a weekend. I'd rather just do it all at once. That's just me. And so, but at least when it comes to structure, uh, again, RA's on call, hall director. We don't have grads at NDSU, so then the next one is hall director. Um, we would, for the most part, I mean, if we can answer the questions over the phone, we answer them over the phone. But like Tuesday, uh, what day is today? Thursday. 2 days
Thursday.
ago, there was a potential like electrical fire in the middle of the day in one of my buildings. And so like I went because fire, like Nathan was talking about. It wasn't. It was the air handler motor. That's pretty cool. It burnt out and it caused an entire building to be smoky. I could taste smoke in my lungs. That was pretty fun. Um, the building alarm wasn't going off. It was weird situation. I don't know why the heck that didn't happen. Regardless, hall director, a lot. Like, it depends on. Like, there's not a lot of like situations that like we need to respond to, but like a lot, like our philosophy as hall directors here is like we will if we have the capability, we will respond in person just to provide the support to the staff member kind of thing. Because if they're calling and they ask for some sort of like, they probably would, even if we don't need to help the situation, at least helping the student staff member support them through kind of thing. Uh, and then above us, our direct supervisor is Brooks, and so Brooks is like always available to at least answer questions and potentially come if needed, unless he's like in Alaska for something like he's going to be soon, kind of thing. And so like he's
Then
always available. But then depending on like the area of the situation, so like if it's like a conduct thing, we have like our director of conduct that we can call that's always available. Or if it's like a maintenance thing, we have our director of maintenance that's always available for questions and stuff. So like our directors, depending on the area, after hours are always available. I put it in air quotes because at least I try not to reach out because they are always technically on call. I try not to reach out unless I absolutely have to, kind of thing.
Right.
Because if I was always on call, fuck that. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, I feel like I talked way too long for a simple on-call structure thing. So Nathan's got a question.
Nathan?
Yeah, in the back.
Hi, here, can I go? I'll go tonight. Hi, I have a question for Dallas.
Yeah.
When's Brooke go? When's Brooks going to Alaska?
Uh, if I'm not so he's gone starting like this afternoon until I don't know when, maybe like a week from now or something like
Mhm.
that. I think going to Alaska like this weekend. I would have to go back to look at an email,
Mhm.
but I think it's like this weekend.
Can someone explain to me why everyone's going to Alaska this summer?
I'm not.
I'm
I
not
think
either.
I
But
think is for FFA. I could be wrong though.
well, my boss is going to Alaska this summer. Two of my coworkers are going to Alaska this summer, and I don't get it. Oh, and then my boss's boss is going to Alaska this summer. So at my institution, minimum four people are going to Alaska this summer.
That's awesome.
That's
I
wild.
I don't get it. I want to go to Alaska, but no one invited me.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Want to go? Let's go.
We can make a little podcast. Oh,
Podcast
that'd
in
be a
Alaska.
nice little setting for it.
Listen, I'm here for it.
Can we reach out and be like, hey, actually, none of us are going to be at summer meetings. We're going to be in
But we'll be in
Alaska.
Alaska if anyone wants to join us there.
Without giving information because I'm not going to because it's early. I might have to call like do a game time decision and not go to summer meetings, but we'll see what happens.
Y'all, I cannot carry this team. You know this.
Bro, you already do. You're already the host, and
That's
we're just
true. That's
the
that's
the, the,
the
the
whole
fucking
point.
yeah. You're the meat. We're the potatoes.
Hosts.
Correct. No, 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 no.
I
You're the
just write
meat.
the outline.
Dallas is the potatoes. I'm the vegetables you don't finish.
What does that mean?
That's
You
not
get the
true.
you get the nutrients you need and then you stop. That's what I mean. You fill up too much on potatoes because there's too many goddamn potatoes on the plate.
Yeah, why do I keep talking? You're right.
Yes,
Wait. It's kind of accurate.
that's true.
I, this is my last podcast. I'm quitting.
I- hey, dude, I'm sorry. Have you ever gone to a place and like a Texas Roadhouse and you order a steak? And you're like, heck yeah, I want a steak. And then they get the sides and everything. And they put like 8 potatoes worth of potatoes on the plate.
Yeah.
That's you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. They're
Potatoes.
good
Hey, listen, I
potatoes.
I liked potatoes a lot.
I like potatoes too. But
I can't find Brooks' email about where he's going to be when. I know it
that's
doesn't
fair.
matter, but I couldn't find it.
Okay, that's fair. Honestly, I wasn't sure what you were doing. I thought you were fact checking why everyone's going to Alaska.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find this damn email.
Oh, Jesse, tell us about your on-call structure.
It's very similar. We try to split up weeks and weekends. We were doing a week at a time for a while, and then we had one person who was up every night for 5 days straight, and one person who was up 4 times in one night. And we were like, this isn't working.
That's fair.
I mean,
Also I don't know how it works for y'all, but we have to stay within a 2-mile radius of
oh, yeah. Like, within,
Yeah.
like, call directors have to be technically within 10 to 15 minutes of being able to respond.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how ours is also for I'll talk about where my central team has to be after you're done.
which in small town Iowa is really inconvenient if you need like groceries that aren't astronomically expensive. So we decided it wasn't sustainable, and now we do Sunday to Wednesday and Thursday to Saturday.
That
Um,
makes sense.
we try to. It ends up being a little bit more PC than that. Um,
What does that mean?
sorry, PC as in not politically correct, like
Oh,
actually the word peace turned into an adjective.
oh, PC, like pieced.
Yes, yes.
See, you said PC, and I'm just sitting here like, because we can't talk about Sunday or Thursday anymore.
No.
We can't. We can't. We can never talk about. Oh shoot, today's Thursday. My
I don't
apologies.
even know why. Where did
Yeah,
that
I'm
come
not sure what you're
from?
talking about.
I don't know
I'm,
either.
Okay.
I'm serious. I don't know
It's
what you mean.
that's exactly what I don't know what I mean either. It's a very esoteric bit. I'm moving on.
Okay, great.
Boo.
I think he's just saying that arbitrarily things are being banned now.
Yes, I am. That's kind of where the vibe of the bit was, but it wasn't landing, so I was moving.
Weren't you in a band?
Yeah,
Huh?
Weren't you in a band?
yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Get it? Because band and band are the same
Yeah,
fucking.
because
Oh my
because
gosh.
yeah.
Guys, sometimes I hate English.
You know what okay, real quick. To this is not on topic. What we could do is since Dallas isn't potentially going to summer meetings, Jesse, you could also just not go to summer meetings. And then we could all just meet up, go to like a coffee shop and just chill.
This is not going to
Again,
flow.
mine is it depends. I don't know yet,
Damn it.
but I can't do. I wouldn't be able to do that. I know you're just joking. You're just joshing right now, but I wouldn't be able to do that if I am not available.
You know when you're joking, but you're only like 40% joking, and someone said, I know you're joking, and it makes the 40% hurt?
I'm
That's
sorry.
I'm sorry, I just want to get coffee and hang out.
I
So
would
yeah,
love
Jesse, your
that.
on-call structure though.
Yeah, thanks. Um, so we also have a double tier. There are the primary string responds in person pretty much always. I would love to say that I sometimes don't have to, but if they're calling me, I pretty much always have to go. Partly because people freak out about things that don't actually need to be freaked out about. And so I get there and I'm like, we can stop freaking out now. This is
Mhm.
actually not as big of a deal as you think it is. But also because honestly, I don't know why I end up with so many of these calls, but usually they're transporting a student if I'm being called. So yeah, I go if there is any form of transport, whether it's an arrest or an ambulance, I have to call the leadership on call, so the second tier. They almost never come in person. I've only had one come in person once, and it was when we had a pretty high chance of a domestic violence situation happening, and he was like, you know, I just want to see what's actually happening. Um, yeah, so and then we also have a counselor who's always on call. Um, and maintenance always has someone on call. And if anyone is transported, the leadership on call has to alert the president because he lives on campus, and when he looks out his window and sees police or ambulance, he wants to know why.
Fair.
That's
Uh,
the reason. That's crazy.
that's the
That's actually ours too. So we,
I'm
whenever someone's
nosy.
transported, we call up, so then it goes to our assistant vice president, and he can inform the president who also lives on campus.
Yeah. I think it's helpful because if a parent calls the next day, like parents call the president all the time.
I
I don't
guess you
know
guys have
why.
like 6 people at your campus, so
Right.
Us?
no,
That's like
Jesse.
we have 9.
Yeah, and
We have six. So
no, that's funny though. I could never see myself calling a president of a university
I can't either.
because like
like as a parent,
no, I mean like I guess just yeah that as a parent, but in general, just because like who am I, some lowly dumb idiot, calling the president of a university?
I agree with you. And that's why I think it's so audacious every time someone does. But I've like multiple times now, this has happened to someone in student life where we hold a line really hard. Like we fight with a student and say no and no and no, and then their parent calls the president and we have to change our decision.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's just honestly university politics, though. If you call the right person and they're in the right mood, something's going to get changed.
I know.
It sucks. Oh, it totally
If
sucks.
you threaten a
And,
lawsuit, you win.
well, what do you mean?
If you
What?
not advice, but like no one wants to get sued, so if you just threaten to, they'll be like, oh, we'll listen.
Sometimes.
That is, I mean, it depends on what the situation is, but yeah.
Yeah.
It
Um,
depends on how confident our lawyers are that they can take it.
See, our lawyers are confident too. Our lawyer, we have one main one at least. Like he knows his stuff. He taught my higher education law class.
Nice.
But I don't think we like getting sued anyway. Because winning or losing is not what happens to your reputation.
It's just that you got sued. Yeah.
Right. And getting sued by itself for some people is enough.
Yeah. No, I hear you 100%.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I don't, yeah.
I disagree with the practice, but I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
But speaking of practice, what else are we gonna practice talking about in this podcast about on-call structure and
Yeah, let's keep practicing talking in this podcast so then we can nail the next one.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. We're just it's just a warm up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so talk about, and this is meant to be observation. It's not meant to be a critique of different institutions, but talk about what works and what doesn't and what you'd like to see.
Well, first
Yeah.
thing I wanted to say is I forgot to mention our central team. So our radius is different. So
Okay.
our community directors and hall director, generic term, they have to be within 15 minutes to respond, as
Mhm.
Alice said. Our central team has to be in the state
Yeah.
Yeah,
because there's not many opportunities that we have to be
right.
around. But if we're leaving town, we typically let each other know on the off chance something does
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear. Now, Dallas, you can say your point.
Yeah. Um, I'm not gonna go deep into this hot take because I know, you know. But my hot take when it comes to what works and what doesn't is I don't even think there should be a hall director on call in general because the expectation is that you know way more than you are trained or knowledgeable of. Okay. So I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna move on. That's all. That's my one comment on that, and we'll move on past that.
Great.
In general, though, I think so we had again NDSU Res Life had a conversation the past 2 months on and off in our hall director meetings about restructuring on call because of the length of a week is just too much.
Mhm.
Yes, if the week's tough, is where I'll stay there as well. I do think just like week duty for entry level professionals in res life makes the most sense, depending on your institution size and your team size. If you are a team of 2, figure it out differently. If you are a team of 12 hall directors that are in the on call structure, I think a week makes sense. Because you're only on call realistically every 12 weeks if you space it out correctly,
Right.
and so like having a week, I think that works really well. Yes, if it's a shitty week, unfortunate. Do what you need to do to refill your bucket, have talk with your coworkers, get a day held for you if you need to, all that good stuff. But if it's a bad week, then guess what? You can take some time off the next week. You're fine. That's just it happens. Okay.
Here we come.
There's just going to be weeks in res life that are rough, like a closing week being on call, regardless of what the calls are. Just getting a call while you're trying to close a building it throws you off your groove, kind of thing. So there's just some weeks that are bad, some weeks that are good, whatever. But I do think a week for on call hall directors makes them. I'm so sorry, I'm gassy from my C4 energy drink. So if you see me struggling, it's because I can't.
My
Diet.
C4 refreshing energy drink.
Yeah, sponsor us, please. But no, I think a week makes sense. And then finding the support that you need if the week's a little tough, getting to the end of it, maybe finding someone who can take a day from you or whatever. Like I said, we just moved into the Monday to Friday to Monday. It hasn't started yet. It's starting this summer. I think in 4 weeks or so is when it will start, just with how our structure was already scheduled. So I don't know how that's going to look and how people are going to feel and all that. Again, I just think I without experiencing it, just don't know. I didn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Someone's going to hold the phone at some point. That's just how I am. If it's me, cool. If it's someone else, awesome. I don't know. And so I didn't provide much of my insight or perspective to the on-call structure conversation internally because I'm so indifferent. It's whatever. But if I got to choose, if Dallas, Lance, and Ease got to choose how on-call structure would work for hall directors in general, I think a week works really well if you have the support from the team that you can adjust it if you need to.
Mhm.
I yield my time.
I would like to use his time to ask a question from.
Yeah, no, not you. Oh, that guy, that in the back.
Yeah,
Yep. No, yeah.
Hi, I have a question for the community or hall director over at NDSU. I believe
Yep.
his name was Dallas Lanciness.
Close enough, but yes. What's your question?
So you said in your spiel that you didn't want there to be a hall director on call.
Okay, we're gonna get into that.
I do want to know your what would your alternative be?
The alternative being there should be more departments on a college campus that have some sort of after hours structure. Now, would there I think there should be more of a this is going to be crazy. I make myself more. I didn't hear what you said. I cut you off. What'd you say, Jesse?
Right. I'm saying I'm tracking with you so far. I agree.
Okay. So I make myself more available after hours to my direct student staff because I'm willing to help because I know the role that I play in this community that we are overseeing and running. Okay. Um, I think there should be more departments across campus that have some sort of after hours structure that you can, if you need assistance, because this is a really bad example, but I'm going to use it. If a resident needs some sort of I don't know, academic support after hours. Yet, and
Mhm.
it needs to happen right there. Okay, let's just say it needs to happen.
Right, right.
Then there should be more of availability just to call different people rather than like, hall director, you know everything, right? Fix it now. There should be more of like a just availability of other folks in different areas to assist with more with specialized issues. And then if there's any general things that pop up, that's when the hall director's like, "Hey, how do we do this form again? Oh, I got you. You fill it out this way. Bam. Don't call me when there's someone trapped in an elevator. Guess what I can't do? Get them out. I can't do that. So don't get me involved. I don't need to know because I can't help. Like I just can't. There's no point. So
Right.
that's me.
I don't want to turn this into a debate, but I do disagree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason I do, I mean, we can turn it to debate. That'd be fun.
Yeah, why not?
The next podcast is just debate 2025. Don't
Okay.
put any context, and it's just whether or not there should be a CD on call. So the reason I think there should be is because it's not that we have the expectation. I say we, I'm not talking about me to you. I'm talking about we for our people.
Yeah.
We
Right.
don't have the expectation that they know everything. We have the expectation that they are able to get people connected to where they need to be connected to. So like if they're stuck in an elevator, the CD at least knows who to contact,
Mhm.
which is unfortunately for us the fire department, and the fire department's very willing to just pry those doors open and break our elevator if they have to.
Right.
But I think the CD is specifically there just to make sure that the resources get to the student that we can get to them. I know that you were using a bad example, but a good example would be like if there's a mental health crisis.
Right.
Our community directors are not trained to help with a mental health crisis, but they are trained to get them connected to who can. So I think it leaves someone who has done this long enough to not panic in those situations. But if I was making your argument, I would probably extend that to I'm not sure if RAs should be on call. But that's radical.
And I might also feel that way. So but again, like
Because yeah, if the professional staff that's on call isn't given all the tools to be able to handle these situations, our student staff definitely isn't.
mhm.
Right. Right.
And that's where it's like, but students who live on campus do need to have some sort of resource to back onto that's after hours. Otherwise, there's a gap of 16 hours every single day that's not a weekend where they can get basically no support.
Right.
And no, I hear that. And that's why like I think there should just be more like I I don't want to say, if you're gonna be a hall director, you need to be available 24/7 for your student staff. Don't want
Yeah,
to say that.
yeah.
But like again, like I know there are and I love boundaries and I don't have the same boundaries as those other people. And I so like it's different. But like people who can just cut off like their communication with their student staff at 5 p.m. and not and turn it back on at 8 a.m. the next day is wild to me because of just the work that we do. Like if I'm on my phone, if I'm in my apartment just playing games, watching YouTube, whatever, and I see a text or even an email come through from one of my student staffs with a question, if I have the capability and the capacity to answer right then and there, I'll do it. I'm not gonna wait until the next day because it's just after hours, regardless if I'm on call or not. I think there should be more of a willingness to just do that for your student staff, which would then help with the whole the main hall director on call doesn't need to know or be the one all the time knowing everything, or at least knowing who to get to, if there's just more of a willingness internally to field some of those questions after hours. Because there's always going to be questions
Yeah.
that just pop up that may or may not need to like I don't know. I didn't think this was going
No,
to
I
turn
know what
into a
you mean.
debate, so I don't have my points ready.
No, that's
Um,
fair. I wasn't intending for that. And I understand. It then runs into the problem though of then what is the real time commitment expectation of this
Right.
role? Because then if you're answering questions outside of hours, and it's not the expectation officially, but it's unofficially the expectation, then you're definitely not getting paid enough.
Right. So that's and like we love people that are willing to volunteer. And I think to be an effective hall director or equivalent, whatever it's called at everybody's institution, you have to have some level of willingness to like put skin in the game, work
Hmm.
when you're not being paid. But like this year, I my position went to hourly because of the federal changes.
FSLA.
Yeah, that. Thanks. And so this was the first year that I was like, don't expect me to respond after hours because I'm not getting a salary and I am not like it's strongly discouraged that I work overtime. Um, that doesn't mean I won't ever respond, but I also like have stuff going on almost every night of the week. I am not like once I am not at work, I am not at work. Um, and for the most part, because we have an on-call structure, that worked pretty well. There were some questions that students had that, like later I would see it and be like, ah, it would have been nice if I could have responded. However, this might be a hot take. I think that college in general is not just about education, it's about preparing for life and adulthood.
No way.
That's
No
not
Um,
true.
way.
I
Uncool,
know.
uncool take.
I don't agree.
I would call that take hot. It would because it's uncool.
Well, see, I told you.
Uh,
Um, so I mean there is, and I talked to my RAs about this. Like I love to help them when I can, and also I expect them to use their resources and figure it out. Like they are not always going to have an on-call person in their lives, and they are going to deal with crisis, or with inconvenience. You know, like a lot of the texts or emails that I miss after hours are about like, hey, I'm sick and I'm on duty. Now what? Um, and that's a like I'm okay with them figuring that out. Um,
it's always situational, right? No, it's
right.
always situational. And like, I don't know. Um, I also think there needs to be, and maybe this is just now this just gets to parenting, but I think more college age students need to be or need to be educated on being more just aware that at the end of the day we're all just humans trying to live. Whoa. And if I'm in a situation and I'm the one that's like, so my staff member is helping you, and then my staff member is like, fuck, dude, I can't help this guy anymore. And they call me and I come and I'm like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. And you're the resident seeing this happen. You shouldn't be like, well, these guys are fucking stupid. I hate these guys now. Like, no, like you should be understanding. Like, I'm just literally some guy trying to help, man. I'm just some guy trying to help.
I
But
love telling the story of my first year as an RA, and I've probably told it on this podcast. But my first year as an RA, I had a student, and I'm going to name drop him. His name's Jake, and I love Jake. Jake's one of my favorite people. I'm still friends with Jake. Um, but Jake, as my resident, like a month in, he talked to some other residents. He's like, "This Nathan guy is never here. He sucks. He doesn't do his job." And I talked to him because it kind of got around to me that Jake hates me. I'm like, hey, we haven't talked that much. What's up? And he said, well, you're supposed to be here because it's your job. And I said, you know, I'm a student, right? He said, I thought you were 30. He thought I was a full-time staff member who's supposed to be in my room, always
That's
ready for him
crazy.
to knock on, and didn't realize I was a student. And that was really funny to me. And then I found out that he's friends with my brother because he lived in the same hometown as my brother's wife.
nice.
So they already knew each other, and
Wild.
we got to know each other, and we were in a band together twice,
Banned.
but a different band.
Oh my.
But Jake's awesome, but I love telling that story to people because you need to let your residents know that you're a student because they don't know that by default. Some people don't know what an RA is.
Yeah,
Also,
I
they
think there just needs to be
have
better
a
communication. Yeah.
life.
Oh
Like
yeah. Well,
Even
and
for
that's the other thing.
professional staff.
Well, the worst part is that was in 2016, and we
Hmm.
know that times have changed, and students even more so want people at their fingertips.
Oh yeah.
At what point do we need to shift how we do those communications? And I know we all want to be student first. That's not the problem. The problem isn't being student first. The problem is actually being student first and not just being at their fingertips like TikTok.
Yes, my job is not to make students happy. My job is to help students learn.
Right.
What?
I don't think every situation a student talks to me about should end in their favor.
Mm-mm. No, because that's not well-being. That's the thing. Like if our job is to care for student well-being, we need to make sure that they're resilient and know how to take no for an answer, how to use the resources that they've been given on their own with initiative, doing the research, how to navigate like a disagreement. All of those things are hugely important for well-being, but we take all of those obstacles away often
Mhm.
from a student first perspective,
Yeah.
and we're creating more problems for them in the long run.
I think eventually students are going to leave college. They're going to go to try to get their first job. It's not going
Mhm.
to work out, and they're not going to know how to handle tiny
Right,
grief as if it's tiny grief.
right.
You in the back?
Yeah, this is more of a logistical question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I scheduled this Zoom call for an hour. I don't know what happens when the hour is up. I don't know if it ends the call.
Oh, how far are we in?
Uh,
We're no.
this was scheduled from 9:30 to 10:30. I don't know if it just ends Zoom at 10:30.
Uh, Jesse, ask your last question really quick.
Well, the last question is best on call story.
Oh, that's a fun one. It'll be
Uh,
Nathan?
uh,
No.
uh.
I think it's gonna keep going. Usually it cuts it off at 40 minutes if it's gonna cut off.
You know what? I'll just say that Jesse's right, and we'll keep talking. If it messes up, that's
Six. That works
sad.
for me. That works for me.
Then we'll just record the other half. My most fun on-call story. Oh, it's not like it's fun. It's just the most involved an on-call situation has ever been. There was a time where a student's room just caught on fire,
Yeah,
actually.
it'd be
And
doing
that's
that.
not fun. That's a devastating situation. They had renter's insurance, so it was less devastating. I was very happy because most of our
Please
students
be
don't.
responsible.
It
Yeah.
just so happened that they did. But that is the only time I have seen. I think there was like 15 people that I hadn't seen in years who just so happened to be at that building at the time. There were people who I used to be RAs with. There were people who used to be my residents there. The person who was affected was someone who I knew when they were my resident. Just, and then my boss was there. My boss's boss was there. I forgot to call my secondary because back then we had secondaries, and the secondary is like, dude, that's like the only situation where it's like, I want to be there. Why didn't you call me?
Boy.
But I had to like herd people away from the building that was actually on fire. It was just bizarre. But afterwards, I had to clean the room.
Why? Why was that your job?
I don't know. I mean, the fire department was there. They did the actual. I mean, they did the actual like hose two door blast in it with
Mm.
hydrant water. And yeah, we had to do the little squeegee to get all of the ash and water out of the room. And it was probably the like most important experience in my professional career because it's like, oh shoot, it matters that I'm on call. And that was my
Yeah.
first semester on call as a professional.
I feel like it's always that trial by fire. Like you get your
Yeah.
worst things in that
I get
first.
it.
Ha, ha, ha.
That wasn't even on purpose.
Yeah, I am sorry to the person who that happened to. I don't mean that it was a fun situation. I more mean that I'm glad that everyone was okay and it wasn't a like devastating
Yeah.
situation.
I guess this morphs into most memorable, not most fun.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say the most memorable thing that I've been a part of that still gets talked about, whether it's me, coworkers of mine, residents that were involved with it, RAs that were involved with it. My second year, don't remember, either second or third, they all blend. It wasn't my first, I know that. Second or third year here. Um, I got a call from a building. One of our toilets was just continuously flushing, and that's like typical. That we call them demon toilets
Mm,
in the slang. And there's like a standard procedure to like that I know that hall directors know that we get taught of like how to stop that,
right.
so you can like stop the flow of water so you can get it fixed and all that. Um, so I went, I did the thing I was taught to do. I screwed or I tightened the screw that I'm supposed to tighten to stop the flow of water. Anyone want to guess where this one's going?
I'm gonna write a prediction down on a sticky note.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
I'll kill the time by saying, um, what the fuck? Sorry, something's on the floor that I didn't know was on the floor. Okay, that's just me. All right, are we ready? Are the predictions ready?
No, I was waiting for you to
No.
fill the time.
Oh, sorry, I can't. I've lost the ability. So I'm just gonna ba ba
Okay.
ba ba da, ba. All right. So I'll keep going. I see we're almost done. So I tighten the screw on the toilet like I'm supposed to on the pipe right there, to stop the flow so we can shut the stall down so we can get it fixed later. No, the water pressure said, no, I'm not letting you tighten me. And it exploded out. And
It
and
exploded.
That is
and it
not what my
it
prediction
caused
is.
a flood in the building. Um, it was a third floor toilet, and it was so bad the flood. The water was seeping down on through the staircase to the first floor. It was so bad, water everywhere. You're like, why didn't we just turn the water off in the building? Well, at that point in time, there was a process. You needed to get three people's approval to turn off the water in a building before you could do anything with that. Okay, so I did that. I was calling the folks that I needed to call. I was right. I knew where the water valve was. I could just and turn off the
Yeah.
water for the entire building, but I needed to get the approval. And so I was calling, people weren't answering. I kept calling because I needed the approval. Can't just do that. Especially because this specific residence hall is connected to, like, when it comes to the water system, connected to our president's house. So that's why you need approval to shut this
Um,
water off. I can't just do it. Um, and so I got the approval about after 20 minutes of flooding in the building. And it was like jet stream projectile shooting out water. Like it was a lot. But it was so cool because it was such a community building event. There were people coming out of their rooms trying to like shovel water in places because our wetbacks were broken in the building. So I had to go to a different building. This was like when it was winter, it was freezing. I had water all over me. My pants froze. My shoes got fucked up. Couldn't wear those after that. Because I was in water for like 8 hours. I was just like swimming in water, trying to get water out of places. It was really fun. Um, and so yeah, we always called it the Great Flood of whatever the year was. That's like how we remember it. Um, but I remember it happened around 8 p.m., about 8 p.m. I remember leaving the building around 3 in the morning.
oh my
That
gosh.
was about when I was like, okay, with like, okay, I think we have this managed. And then I was back in that same building about 9 in the morning because it was a Friday night. So I came back the next morning to then call like our like third party contracted like cleaners to go through every room that was affected and in deep clean rooms and all that. So um that was pretty cool. What's really cool about that is that wasn't the only flood I was a part of as being an on-call hall director. There's another building a different year on Christmas that flooded that I was there for about 6 hours dealing with too. So I'm just the flood guy. Open the
Yeah,
floodgates,
no
here I
kidding.
come.
Wow, that was fun. Nathan, you look like you have a thought.
One, we are the fire and the flood. Two,
Amazing.
two, you reminded me that we have also had two great floods since I've been here, and I forgot about them, but I didn't respond to either. So I will still yield my question time. But then it reminded me of a different fun on-call situation, but I already said my one. So,
Yeah, you got one.
yep,
That's how that
I
works.
wasted it on a fire.
Yeah, get fucked.
No, I like the fire and the flood. That
I
kind
do
of stuff.
too. But
Doesn't
I should have talked about the fact that we had a cat colony enter someone's apartment while they were
No, no,
gone. But
no,
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 it's too late.
no.
It's too late. It's too late. I'm not telling the story. I can't tell the story.
Yeah, I'll talk over you so they can't hear you, just like the white man does.
but
I'm half.
now I'm curious.
I sorry.
No, I'll see you later.
I wasted it.
It's the preamble of the next podcast.
That's true.
That is crazy. Okay. Well, mine is probably not that fun. My first year, we had two
You made the
students.
question.
What?
You made the question.
Well, I didn't know what you guys were gonna have. Mine is interesting, but I can't give details because identifying information and so there were two students. Basically, they went on a crime spree throughout a week.
Yeah.
Um, I referred to them as Bonnie and Clyde always after that. Um, and yeah, I was on call the whole week that they were on their crime spree, so I think I got a call about them like every day or night that week.
Did you just not catch him?
No, eventually they were caught.
Did it
But
end in a shootout?
it took a while. It did not end in a shootout.
Have you
And
seen
it didn't end in driving off a cliff either.
Is that how
Um,
Bonnie and Clyde ended?
I believe so, yes.
I thought one of them died in the shootout. The other one drove off the cliff with the body.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't remember.
There were no bodies. No one drove off a cliff.
Let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, please tell me the story
Yeah,
Bonnie and Clyde in the
please
comments.
tell us the correct ending. Anyways, but it was wild. We finally caught them on camera, but we were trying to get them to admit it, and so had been met with several times throughout the week. And it turned out that they were like sabotaging each other, making each other think that other people had done things to them. Um, yeah, it was wild. It got to the point where every time I got a call on my personal phone, I was like, don't tell me, I already know. And pretty much always it was like, oh, so you heard about yes, I know. Um, yeah, it was wild.
It's awesome.
Bonnie and Clyde died in the shootout. There was no driving off a cliff. That is hearsay.
No, well then there's
But
a duo. There's a duo that does.
yeah.
Who is it? Who is that duo then?
I'm looking up duo that drove off a cliff. Duo that drove off a cliff.
And then after that.
Thelma and Louise.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
The mystery gang?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about this. Is this real?
What?
The Dukes of Hazzard? That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, right?
Are Thelma and Louise, is that a movie based on real people?
I feel like it's very loose, but yes.
Thelma and Louise, real story. Yeah. Oh.
So in summary, on call, baby. Whether you have it or you have it, because we all have it. It works in mysterious ways.
That was a good summary.
Thanks. My name's Dallas. That's Jesse. That's Nathan. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, you're stupid. Because at the 50 subscriber mark, we're doing a special. We're gonna give away something. I don't know yet, but we're doing a giveaway at the 50 subscriber mark.
At the
So
100 subscriber mark, we'll do an after hours podcast where we drink and play Among Us.
yeah, Among Us. You'll see it if you get us to 100.
People are going to
so
be really excited about that. I think.
They will.
I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I hope you had a good time. And catch us next time when we talk about other things and maybe the topic that we're supposed to talk about.
True.
Bam, 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 bam.